Hello. Welcome, online world. Welcome to the online world. The online world, the online world. Welcome to the expansions for Promise Resource Network. I am Jade. I'll play a what? A violin?
Yes.
That's not what she said, is it? Hey, Carolina, how are you? So I am so excited to be here tonight. There are definitely going to be a few more people joining us, so we are just going to hold that space for their physical bodies to arrive. Welcome, welcome. And if you would like to take a card, yeah, and you're welcome to shuffle them, shake them up, whatever you would like. Just for you.
Isn't it fun? I love
So
picking
hey
cards.
Mom, how are you? Hey Ben, how are you? It's so good to see you all on here. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this digital platform. I love that we can take like this real human experience and this real human experience and kind of merge them. So as we start talking and diving in, please chime in, share your thoughts and feelings, your experiences, and I can add that to this group and we will make this a collective. A collective experience. Hey Holly, what's happening?
Oh, fun.
Right?
But somebody has a plan. Because I wasn't able to figure out.
Like, I don't know what the plan is, but I'm doing it. So I would like to have a check-in. I would like to have a check-in. Like, how is, because I'm going to probably drop in more of the breath and stuff as more people get here. So just like in this moment, how's your body feeling?
Really good. Honestly, like the smells and everything when we walked in here, I was just like, oh, this is what I wanted. I feel very like calm and after taking my shoes off, I feel really good.
That makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Feet. How's your body feeling?
I honestly never feel like I'm quite relaxed, even if I sleep a lot. Or actually, that's maybe the only way I view it. It's like, there's always some part of me that is not this tense.
So the body is always like in this kind of like state of
Yeah, it just moves
contraction.
Moves from point to point.
Okay. I love that you have that
I'll
awareness,
take it off.
right? Ben's body is feeling good. My mom is here in Indiana, y'all. Her body's, I'm glad to hear that your body's feeling good. How's your body?
What?
My mom.
From the
Oh, okay, cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I feel right now feeling like quite relaxed in my body. And I'm just looks like I'm there in my body that I can have some a little bit. But I think it's lost myself.
Okay. I like that you shared that you can be in, that your body can feel and experience discomfort and also feel, like calm. Like you can feel both.
Yeah.
It's not like I can only feel one or the other, but that you can feel that bothness. When I first asked how everybody's body was feeling, I was like kind of moving and checking with mom. I'm like, good, I'm a little sore, I guess. But then when you mentioned your shoes being off, I was like, oh, I feel so much better because I just took my shoes off and my feet just kind of splayed out. And so I'm like, oh, now I do feel better. So it's interesting how like we'll pick up on the sensations in our bodies and how we can pick up on different nuances depending on whatever we focus on.
Yeah.
Hey Charles, how's it going? How's your body feeling, Charles? Curious. This is a real question. Like I don't need, my request is like really check in with your physical body. Like give yourself a body scan because this is going to lead us into where we're going. Can you make sure your phones are on silent? Because I just I forgot. I just did that myself.
Finally turned off all my notifications, so I have to like actively go into the app so I don't get anything, which is like can be troublesome, but for the most part, it's like I choose what I look at. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, I love that you're saying all of these things
Yeah.
because of the topic that I want to dive into today. So the topic, and like I said, we'll anchor in just a moment. But the topic that I want to talk about is spiritual gifts. Like the type of spiritual gifts like psychic abilities. Like that type of stuff. And I feel like it's a whole world that has been put into a couple different boxes from my perspective. I feel like it's been put in the box of woo woo.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's just a woo woo. Like, that's
Fun word, though.
woo woo is a fun
I
word.
like that.
Because it rhymes with poo poo, and I think that's always
I'm looking for that.
I know, right? So it's been put in this like woo woo compartment. It's also been put in the compartment of only the gifted have that. Only the special people have. The chosen ones, yes. The chosen ones have these spiritual gifts. They're the ones that have psychic abilities. It's also been put into this realm of, and I don't like to use this word, so trigger warning. I'm not using it to do that, but this is the box that it's been labeled as. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's literally been put into a box of you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, that's not real. And the people that have certain gifts in this realm have been diminished, right? They're like, oh no, we're just gonna marginalize you, like whatever, you're just one of those people, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's also been put in a category that religion has actually held and said, no, you don't have access to those gifts, only we do. We, the church, have that, and that you come to us. And it was a form of control. So that's why I really want to talk about this topic, and why it's so important to really check in with our body. So I'm glad that everybody has shared with what their body is feeling. Hey, perfect timing, come on in. And while you anchor in, if you will, take your card and do a little shuffleina and all the things, and make yourself comfortable. And I'm going to have you intentionally not like anchor in yet. How's your body feeling in this now moment? Heavy. Oh, heady, spinny, kind of like, okay, cool, perfect. I love this. Great. Okay, so there may be a few more people joining us, so we'll just hold space for their physical bodies as well as their spiritual bodies, whether their physical bodies show up or not. If that feels good. The bad is good, Charles says. So you can hang on to the mic. Okay. Well, you can like, check in or afterwards. Okay. So, y'all ready to drop in? Be comfortable? All right. Take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. Take another big breath in. And let it go with an audible sigh. Take a big breath in. Let it go however you want. Take a card. You can shake it, shuffle it, Shazam it, whatever you want to do. Hey, you can, if you want to toss that. Thanks. Whee! Good to see you all. Good to see everybody. Right, like shuffleboard, but not. I know you just got here, and this is why I'm going to ask you. How's your body feeling in this now moment?
I'm like vibrating.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'll let you grab a card, and then I will, and you can just let the deck down. And while you do that, start to just anchor into this experience called now. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. Hey, welcome. Your timing is perfect. Would you pass this over to Kara for me? Hey, how's your body feeling right now?
Amazing.
Really? Tell me like more about it, like a description of like.
I just had a massage, so I'm really relaxed.
Oh, okay. So your body feels like that relaxed, kind of like. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, whatever one calls you. That'll be your card for this now. Perfect. Okay. Hey. Are you calling them, you said? Okay. Well, then I'm going to wait to start this because I would like to have that experience right there. That's the experience that I was wanting to actually have. So I'm glad I had that. Have y'all ever had days like that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
More often than
It's
ever.
so weird because if I were in your shoe right now, I probably would yell. Well,
Yeah?
that would piss me off.
Oh.
I hate this. And
If you couldn't see that, but I just dropped a chime and it hit a thing and just all my sage just basically dumped out everywhere. It made a beautiful mess.
It's like my hips would like sit on it.
Yes, please. That's why I said them there.
And then I just worked your way down. I was like, okay, now I got some sense.
Yeah, make yourself as comfortable as you want. Like if you want to lay down at any point, like you really like make yourself comfortable. And it's interesting because like we're all feeling different things in our bodies, and there are certain things that will take us out of the game. Like that, like me dropping this, or if it were you dropping it, or you just saw a car accident, like I saw a car accident today on my way home. There's some things that'll just take us out of our element, takes us out of our awareness, out of our body, takes us just out of this game, right? And the topic tonight is about spiritual gifts, psychic gifts. So if we want to really tap into these gifts and like these divine gifts that we all have, which I'll get back to that in a minute. Oh God, I love emojis. Oh God. All right. I got really excited. I love emojis. Anyway, conversation with Flash. I love emojis. Which I can't find my emojis. I had to update my phone and I can't find my Memoji or Bitmoji or whatever it's called. That like looks like me. I can't find it.
So much like you.
I know. So I might ask for support in finding mine. Anyway. So, but when we get taken out of our element, we start to, how like when you're in a trauma, you can dissociate from your body. So we can actually dissociate from our higher self when we drop back into our body too much. So it's like finding this balance between being in my body and being a channel and being, I'm only the channel, I'm only the energy, and then I'm like so in my body that I have no connection to anything energetic or anything in awareness other than the density of it is, right? So being aware of what can throw us out of that space can keep us more ready to receive the messages, the psychic gifts that we'll be kind of diving into. Are they near? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. Okay, cool. So I asked everybody like how your body was feeling because that's the first step of our spiritual gifts, which first things first is that we all have them. We all have spiritual gifts, whether we know it or not, whether we recognize it or not, whether they have been what I call activated. It's kind of like you don't know what you don't know until you know it, and then you can't unknow it. You can forget it, but you'll be reminded, right? You can't unlearn a thing. So we start to really activate these gifts as we start to really align our frequencies, align our energy centers, our subtle body. When our subtle body is starting to like decrease, it's like wobbles and little distortions here and there from traumas and dramas and the lived experience called human, and our energy field is more homeostatic with itself, then we start to really tap into our spiritual gifts. They start to really come online. So, we've all checked in with our bodies. We're going to go through a little exercise to get us just a little bit more aligned. Get our frequencies just a little bit more together with each other in this now moment. So my invitation is to just hear. My invitation first is going to be to close your eyes. And the second invitation is going to be to listen to all of the sounds that you hear. Start with your breath. Maybe you can hear the beating of your heart, the sound of slight movement as maybe you swallow. You hear sounds of silence, sounds of background noises. Maybe the sounds start to move through you. Notice the sense of touch, the feeling of your clothes on your skin, the feeling of the air moving in and out of your nose. Maybe you feel the sound waves. Notice the smells. You smell yourself, your breath, the air. Can you smell the sound waves? Continue to just notice your senses. Notice your sense of taste. Can you taste the toothpaste or what you just drank? Can you taste the sound waves? On your own time, take 3 breaths, however that looks to you. Maybe they're big and full, maybe they're shallow. But just take 3. And after that 3rd breath, begin to gently open your eyes. So now the check-in is, how does your body feel now? You just popcorn. Would you share? I'm going to hand you this back. You can just shake it, shimmy it, shuffle it. Would you like to sit on a blanket? There you go. So how's your body feel now?
I'm feeling more relaxed. Yeah, and kind of, I guess the best way to say it more kind of in my body.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Who else? How's your body feeling now?
Like it tastes metallic. I don't know how to explain that.
Thank you for sharing that. I can get back to that one. Anyone else?
Like my body's realigned, like I was kind of holding my breath through the day to get through the busyness, letting go. Snapping back.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I'm still like, it's working its way down, but it's like relaxing.
Okay. So maybe from a 10 to a 9.
Well, it's like kind of going through my head down to my toes down.
Oh, literally it's going
Yeah,
down.
for me, that was more heady than physical. I don't know if that's right. Got it down.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that.
More calm down too. Now, so that they have any taste in my mouth.
Oh.
What's that?
Interesting. How's your body?
I'm feeling wavy, like wavy.
Mm-hmm. That. How's your body feel?
Mine is like a slight, cold, cold.
It does. Thank you for sharing that. Ben says, damn, that feels good. Let me know how your body's feeling. So here's a question. So the topic is about spiritual gifts, psychic abilities. So who has them? It's so funny that not many people will raise their hand up high with this question.
That's right.
Right? Because sometimes it's like, ooh, let me, tell me, show me, do the party trick.
Yeah.
And that one really stinks. I don't enjoy that, because it doesn't work like that at all.
It's a pain to explain.
It really is. It really is. It's like, yes, I have a psychic ability, and someone has a preconceived notion about like what that is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can see the future, or tell me what my great aunt Edna has to say. It's like, no, that's not the gift I have, or whatever, right? Oh, Ben's feeling more free. Ooh, that feels good. Thank you for sharing that. So I wanted to go into, will you raise your hand again if you do have psychic abilities, spiritual gifts, psychic abilities? Okay.
I think I don't, like, I feel spiritual, like I feel something, but I don't really know what, like I just feel very connected. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So I want to go into some of them. I was kind of wanting to dive into some of the clairs. Are we good with that? We dive into some of the clairs. I don't even know who Claire is, but we're all going to dive into all of the clairs. We've gotten consent. Because otherwise that's just weird. So, and I have a little list, I don't forget any of them. So like I said, we all have the ability to tap into the spiritual realm, because that's what it is. It's tapping into the spiritual realm. It's tapping into, it's translating information from the unseen world, right? Like I can say that, yes, that door is yellow, but there's only a part of me that can tell you what's behind that door, assuming I've never looked behind it, right? That is the psychic gift. That's the spiritual ability, because the spiritual gifts are really tapping into all of the energy fields, all of the consciousness, all of the information that just is, that we are. So it's a matter of how can I tap into it? What part of me taps into that so that I can translate it and then put it out of myself? Whether it's through like automatic writing, so it's going to come through my hands, or I'm channeling, or I'm prophesizing, or tons of different ways. But I want to go into the clairs. Does anyone that said that you have a spiritual gift or psychic ability that you know of, you have one of the clairs? If so, just raise your hand. Okay, and you may not know what they all are. Like, so I'm just asking for kind of like, see who knows kind of like what, just this like self-awareness kind of thing. I didn't know that I had some of the spiritual gifts I had until I started studying them. And I was like, that's me. Well, I don't know what that is, but I want that. And then I would activate it. That's a whole other story. So the first clair is clairaudience. And that's because when you can hear stuff. And it's not like, and this is an interesting thing because, there have been like mental diagnoses that are like, when you hear people, they're actually like, they're labeled certain ways. And so that is not saying that these are the same thing. They are vastly different. It's like, for me to have a clairaudience psychic ability, it's to know that what I'm hearing is coming from a spiritual source. But if I'm sitting here saying like, no, like someone's here talking to me. No, someone's here. They're right there. Right. I hear them. I don't see them. So you can see the difference, right? So just putting that out there and the awareness. So Ben's like, I have one. I'm so curious. So clairaudience is when we hear something auditorily. Does anyone have that?
I think I do when I'm working, but it's more of like, and it's not like I hear a voice, but you just hear a direct like message or word of like what to do next. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So you hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the clairs are all on a spectrum. That's why they're all like one clair world, because they all kind of delineate into each other in their own like in their own way. I don't really hear stuff.
It's really been, I just, like particular times, you have to like hone in on it.
I love that you shared that. It's soft. It's really rare if you have the gift of clairaudience. It's usually not like somebody's yelling at you, you know, Tara, I said this is a message from spirit. Why aren't you listening? Like it doesn't work like that. We think that until it happens, and we're like, shut up, I can't right now. Right? Did you brush your teeth? Did you floss? You know, like those
Color clear.
right? Claire, shut up. But it's subtle. It is a subtle thing that means that happens when you're usually working. So the environment is set. So you're in a safe place, it's quiet, you're focused, you have your attention and intention flowing on this certain situation and this person. So that's when you can start to hear these messages, which is why I started off the way I did with kind of getting back into your body and into that stillness and back into your human senses. Because if we are detached from the human senses and the human sensory system, we can't pick up on the subtle ones. If I'm dissociated from my body, if I am eating like McMeals all the time and I can't tell you what a real green bean tastes like from a piece of broccoli, I'm dissociated. If I only listen to like music loud, I don't have the subtle sound ability to hear birds singing in the wind blowing. So I'm not going to hear these subtle gifts. I'm glad you brought that up because that goes in with all of them. The next one I want to talk about is clairvoyance. Does anyone think you have that? I love this. It's like, I'm telling you. So clairvoyance is a seeing gift. And it is not necessarily seeing with your human physical eyeballs. However, it can be. So that's like, sometimes I can see people's auras and orbs and fairies and things, oh my. And it's not so much that for me, but I'll get like images that are in my mind's eye. And we just see stuff. You said you do. Will you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so part of it shows up in dreams. Sometimes I can interact with someone and they may be dealing with something and I'll see like the solution. So whether that's like using something in the environment to like bring it to the space, like I just see it. Or sometimes it'll look like, so like I can see like the vibrational reality of something. So like I could look at the sky, but then I could see like the geometric pattern of the sky because I'm not looking at the sky like through my eyes. I'm looking at it through my eye. And so yeah, it just kind of just shows up, how, I still don't even know how to explain it because it trips me out every time. Wow, I'm so blessed. I experienced this.
Yeah. And it's not when you're like looking, right? It's not like someone is like, I'm looking for a plant medicine that's going to help me X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh, well, I just saw this. It's like someone will just be saying like, oh, I had this really bad hip ache and you just keep seeing eucalyptus. Whether it's the word or I was going to say smell, but that's a different gift. Or you see the plant and you're like, something about eucalyptus in your hip. I don't know, but it's there, and it's subtle enough, but it's also prevalent enough. It's almost like a lot of the auditory things. It's like, it's soft and subtle, but it's like someone whispering something to you over and over again. Did you hear? Yeah, you heard. Listen closer. Listen closer. Yeah.
Does that happen like in relationships? Like, because for me, when I meet someone, I like see down the line of their future, and it like every time it's like whenever they're not being on the art, it makes me very upset. It's not like I see it, and then I see it with me sometimes, like in them, the things that can be, and it's just like I don't know. know, it's like, it's so pretty, but then it's like so sad when it's not like that, yeah.
Yes, and some, so like I said, these gifts are on a spectrum. So I'm gonna get into more where some of what you said, you might be like, oh, that actually falls into this category. And that is gonna fall into another category as well. So, oh yeah, yes, right? Holly says, let's see, lost my connection. I have multiple gifts. Oh, lost the connection. We get too distracted to hear the connection. That's what I think, inadvertently. So that's meditation. I'll get back to that. The next one that I want to talk about is clairsentience. Does anyone think they have that? If you know what it is. Okay. So clairsentience. It's not like claircognizance. We'll get to that one. Clairsentience is when you pick up on the emotional field. Mhm. So a lot of people say they're empaths, right? That's a little different. It is a little different. Just there's a nuance of difference. That being said, that's like if, say Kaylin is sharing with me something and I can like really pick up on the depth of her feeling or the depth of that joy that she is experiencing. I'm like, whoa, like I know that joy you're feeling right now. And all she could say is, like, yeah, I was really happy that I had a good day. But I could maybe really feel that. And it doesn't necessarily apply to just one other human. It can also apply to like a group of humans. And it can also apply to the collective. Because everything that's ever been thought, because it is all energy, forms. So there are thought forms. So we can pick up on that. It's like when you're in a water, in a body of water, and you go through a warm section. It literally is another form of energy, right? Like it's still liquid, it's still a part of that body of water, but somebody's feet right there. And you pick up on that. And then you get a message from that, like, I need to move away or whatever. Anyway, so that is the clairsentience. So now that I said that, who has that? On their emotional field. Yeah. Now an empath is going to be a little bit different to me. An empath is when it's like, my back just started hurting. What's up with that? And then Kara's like, oh yeah, so my back's been hurting. I'm like, yep, it's not mine. So an empath can be physical, mental, emotional, in a bunch of different ways. So the clairsentience is the emotional realm. And then the last one of the clairs is claircognizance. Does anyone think they have that?
And what you were describing to me.
Mm-hmm. So claircognizance is when you just know. Right? Right? Yeah. And if you're a child with this one, because this is the one that I didn't really recognize that I had. So as a child, you're just a know-it-all. Stop being such a know-it-all. Like, you're not a know-it-all. And then I would also get like put in the gifted things in school. And they would be like, show your work. And I'm like, I can't. Well, if you don't show your work, then we're going to take you out of this program. I can't show you my work. I literally can't, but I can tell you what X is. I can tell you what Y is. I can tell you what Z is just because I know. The numbers just came. I just know them. Like, duh. And that's a basic example. But, so claircognizance is that it's just like this knowing just drops right in.
Can that be like knowing with interactions with people?
Like what?
Like, it's like, say you have a date, right? And you're like, oh, they're going to be 30 minutes late, or I'm not going to see them today, or I'm going to see them next week on Tuesday.
No. Okay. That's more prophecy.
Okay.
That's more seeing into a timeline that has not happened. And prophecy is very in alignment with, what is it? Kind of like astral projection, but not. I'll get into that. But the gift of prophecy is being able to go into this future space, no matter how far that future is. And it's usually pretty accurate, right? Because then there's the gift of like being able to just like tell what's going to happen, but everything is mutable and malleable. But some things are like, I don't want to say destined because it is all energy, but it's like somebody's higher self, I'm getting really, like chose a certain thing and you know that they chose a thing, and that's where the claircognizance tends to come in. Or prophecy, I'm sorry. Because was Jesus, dude, was he a prophet? Was he considered one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's considered God.
Okay, so it's like basically they say that Jesus was a prophet, right? Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's what I thought in some of the stories around him. Okay, cool. All I said is they had a baby pool. That's funny. This information has been released off my brain. My gifts, have been working strong. A few days ago, I heard welcome back. Yes, especially with all the eclipse energy and all the energy from the planets. Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, so there are literally a billion spiritual gifts and psychic abilities. So we can either play with some of the, like maybe one or two of the ones we've talked about, or I can maybe go into like two other ones and then like go into a couple other ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, please.
So, when you said about like being in school, I suck at math. Like, suck. Like, if you tell me to add two numbers, I literally will want to cry. But, and when I was little, like, you know those tests where they make you try to see like what level you're on, you have to or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I suck at math. Every other thing I'm really good at. But with math, and I didn't even know I was doing math. You know, I didn't know how I was doing it when I was little. But I would just be like, which one is it? And it like C, A. I got high scores every time. I never got a low score in math, but I sucked at even in class. Like, I suck. Versus like I would just know the answers. And every time I would get the result of the test, I'd be like, what is that? It's kind
Wow.
of like frustrating. It was like, what the fuck?
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, that to me, I would put in the claircognizance for sure. Just that, I just know. I just know it. And you know that you know it from not your knowing. That's the difference. It's not like, oh, I just remembered it because I know that I actually studied it. But it's, you know, but you don't know how you know it. You know that it wasn't part of your mental faculties, but it just dropped in. You know? I love this conversation. I really do. I get like super jazzed about this stuff. One of the ones that I wanted to talk about was astral projection. Who astrally projects?
I don't know, not on purpose.
Okay.
I love to be able to do it on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I do it by accident.
Yeah.
I would like to specifically do it, but
Okay.
I would understand how to control it.
Okay. So astral projecting. Wow, I couldn't get that one out. I wrote like a more like real definition instead of just Jane speak. It's projecting your consciousness outside of time and space. So, so my human body is here. This happens a lot during sleep. A lot. It's basically what we do when we sleep. It's what we do when we sleep. We are astrally projecting when we sleep because we are nothing but consciousness. And so when I am at such rest, then that is when my consciousness is clearing my subconscious, it's processing the day's stuff, my lived experience, the things I'm thinking about. And if all of the things, all of that stuff have been dealt with in humans, then I can astrally project to other timelines. to other areas, to other places. And I don't have to be asleep. I can do this in meditation or just in some stillness and light, and I can project. And this is really cool because it can go into different realms of completely different realms. I've been in so many beautiful places. I have friends that have been to some not so beautiful places. It's not what I choose. It's not where I choose to go. I've been, I can also, and this goes into a form of astral projection, even though it's technically not, but I'm coming through to share it. So then there's a form of taking your consciousness and going into another location. So it's usually bilocating. So that I can be here, and then I can go plot myself in Lima, Peru, right now, in Miraflores, at this intersection, and half of it's because it's on my memory, that's the why that came in. But I don't bilocate to places around the world, so that's why it's not really a good example. Anyway, but you can bilocate into another location. The cool thing about this type of astral projecting, bilocating, you can also trilocate. I've been trilocating recently, and that's been fun. But I doubt I'm the only one. I doubt I'm the only one. I know I'm not the only one, duh. Anyway, but I can bilocate and trilocate in people's bodies. So I can go to specific maladies and actually see it. I've seen people's veins, and I've helped support that healing of veins that have been collapsing and just different parts of their body, and going into like where tumors are and starting to see it and kind of just see where things are in a physical form. It's almost like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So we can go deep into the micro, and we can also project into the macro beyond realms. So it's a form of projecting. So now, who astrally projects?
But it's also a different way of being, though. It's not like the same as sitting here and having an experience. It's a little bit like, I think, like being here and Zoom, right? You also but there,
Yes.
different experience.
Yes. I love that that was a really great analogy. Like here and Zoom. Yes. You know, it is a different experience. You know, it's almost like you all can almost feel like being here if you allow that space to be had, right? But if I'm on the other side where Holly is and Ben is and Charles and everybody else, and I'm like, I've got this listening and I'm cooking and I'm doing that, then only like a margin of me can be there, right? But if I'm sitting and I'm listening to this, then I'm so much more likely to kind of like project myself here, and we would even be able to maybe even perhaps pick up on their presence.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are clairsentient, the one that I forgot, the ones that are clairsentient could even maybe pick up on them if someone actually projected here. If they're very in tune and don't have their mind going all over the place. Did you even see that little bug fly out of my hand? That was weird. I don't know. I didn't. Anyway. That's strange. Anyway. Anything about the astral projection?
Thanks. I just knew about bilocating a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
So that's probably why that came up.
Ah.
Because I received that one. And then for dreams, I do a lot of weird stuff in my dreams, but I never.
Ooh. Hi, welcome. I'm Jane. Would you like to take a card? You can shuffle, shake it, shimmy it around, whatever you're going.
All right.
Please take it. The winner is that card. I'll take the big one. Uh-huh. No, wait, what? I mean, no, some know their card, but not everyone else's, yeah. So, we're talking about spiritual gifts.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about spiritual
I
gifts.
brought my drum. I say, okay.
Right? Sometimes we sing, sometimes we dance, sometimes we don't dance.
Okay,
So, yeah,
whatever.
right? What's your name?
Sahid,
Sahid and Jane.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. So we're talking about spiritual gifts. So bilocating has come up recently for you. Will you share what the last part that you said was?
The astral projection and dreams. I guess I have never allowed myself open to that possibility because of right, the barriers related to the places you don't want to go and things you don't want to receive. And I wasn't aware of myself in that dimension enough to do so. So I didn't want to get into that point. But can you do it without realizing and then become aware and bring yourself back?
Yes.
Okay, because I think that's what dreams.
Yes. Yeah. The first time I remember astrally projecting was I was in ceremony. It was a weekend of dance and just ceremony. We were dry fasting, shaman, like the thing. And we would dance and dance and dance, and we would go back and we would sleep on in an arbor. And we were all outside, and then they'd wake us up with the drums and we'd start dancing again. And we would just do this for hours and hours, and then we'd lay back down and we would rest, and we'd just do it for days. And it was beautiful. And at one point, I went back to my cot sleeping bag. It was a sleeping bag in the arbor. And I left. And it was very real. And I was walking down the street with a friend, and then I was in my house that I grew up in, and I opened the door, and it was a being, and it was a light being. It was a plasmatic light being. And I had this like, oh my God, it's you! Yeah! Like I knew this being, with all of my every fiber. And as soon as that human got so like, I literally landed back in my body. And when I say that, I mean that. It felt like somebody had body slammed me into me. And it hurt bad. Like everything got like electrical, like that, like when you belly flop? Yeah, it was like that thing, the entire backside, and it reverberating up through all of your body. And I was like, ow. And then I just started weeping because I was back here. I was back in this realm. So we're going to come back. Astral projecting, like if we're going to come back, we may not like it. We may not like where we go. And because it's a space that is not of time and space, because it is just that space of consciousness, that it can be like I was there for a millisecond, or I was there for 5 years. I literally couldn't tell you. So it kind of depends on where we go, which that's why it kind of goes back into what we did at the top of the hour, which was really kind of aligning, coming back to our body, coming back to our breath, coming back into that alignment and that presence. Because when I am with as little bit of wobble as I can, when my channel is clear, right? Then like where I'm going to go is going to be in like the high heart intention. If I have a lot of distortions in my quantum, then I'm going to go to distorted places.
I also wonder sometimes there's like a kind of a gray zone between like astral projection and dissociation. Like when these traumatic events happen, especially in childhood and injury, or especially with children, it happens like out of the body. And that's sometimes called dissociation.
It is definitely, it can be perceived as being something similar because of like the defined nature of it. That being said, when we're in a trauma and we dissociate, we fractal back in. We fractal back in. Parts of me come back in so I can get through this day. So like, and we kind of fractal in, we fractal off, kind of depending on which perspective we're looking at. When we astrally project, the bigger part of me, of my consciousness, is leaving. And then the bigger part of me comes back in fullness. So dissociation is almost like, I could literally, first trauma, like say if we all probably had a really big trauma in our life, I'm just gonna feel like most of us have. So, trauma's happening, I can't be in this trauma anymore, I can't. I'm just gonna let Jane's body be in that trauma, and when it's safe enough, I'm gonna come back. But I don't fully come back because there's so much density now in the body. There's like, it's like fractal in that space. Does that make sense? That's the way I kind of see that. But with astral projection, we're literally, it's like big consciousness. Yeah. Poof, there I am. Like that. But it's so similar. You know, it is so similar. You know, I feel like astral projection is like safe. Dissociation is, I mean, it keeps us safe in its own way. It's the maintaining the dissociation that is not safe. And that's, I feel like, what we usually will do. So I want to go over one more. Let's do this one. Let's do telepathy. Who thinks that they're telepathic? Low key, so like half hand raised,
Only with certain people who are on the
same frequency.
wavelength.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of children are telepathic right now.
Mhm. Big time. Big time. They don't have the distortions to see through. And more people are kind of coming online, right? Like we did at the top of the hour. So now they're on that same wavelength and can pick up those thoughts so much easier. And even if I am not aligned, they're picking up on the aligned part of me, my higher self, and so they're able to like tap into my higher self and read Jane's thoughts. Because they're holding such a high frequency. They're so like in that pure energy state. Kids are such gurus though. They're just like, teach me. Anyway, telepathy is to perceive another's thoughts and or perceive the collective conscious thoughts. I saw you and I'm like,
I didn't know it.
right? So yeah, so it's being able to, and it's not going in and being like, I feel your feelings, right? Empathy, or, oh, I'm just really aware of how I feel, feeling feelings. It's more like, you're still thinking about that thing. You know, you're still thinking about that. You're still thinking about the ex, aren't you? You're still thinking about that ex. I can feel it. I know it. I know it. And has you ever had that experience where you're just like, I know what you're thinking? Right? This one is interesting, when you can pick up on the collective thought forms. And that's a weird one, for me personally, because I will feel it in my thoughts. My telepathy, doings, my antenna come up, and I'm like, I'm picking up on the thought forms. I am. And then my body senses it as well. So like, I'm like multi-sensory when I go through certain thought forms. And because I astrally project and move through timelines the way I do, with the way my gifts are set up for me, I can pick up on thought forms and energy fields before they occur. And that's an interesting one. So have you ever been somewhere, you're walking and everything feels good, and this happens to me in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm walking down there and I'm like, do. And it's just this, it just feels weird to me. And like, I might feel like angry. And I have like thoughts that are like, they're like angry thoughts. Like, I can't put words to the thoughts themselves, but there'll be like angry thoughts. And I'm like, I was having a really good day, but what is happening right now? Oh shit. And then I just stop and I take a look around and I'm like, I'm in a field of consciousness. I'm in old thought forms. It also happens if, say you're crossing, has anybody ever been to Grandfather Mountain? I think it's that one where there's that suspension bridge. Okay, so those of you that have, imagine crossing a suspension bridge where you're literally like looking down a bajillion feet, right? So you could have that feeling of like, I could die, right? Now, so we all in here are getting ready to cross this bridge, and we all have crossed it, and we all have thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die, this bridge could break, right? And Morgan gets ready to cross it. She doesn't care. She's like, I love heights, I'm crossing this bridge, but she just feels a little, what is that? What is that? You literally are walking through the thought forms of all of us that just crossed the bridge that had fear go out. Because that energy, the consciousness of those thoughts literally pool up. Right? So telepathy, yes, please.
Question. So, example, me and my friend was in an accident, right? So, in that accident, he started freaking out, like hitting the thing. Oh my God! His attention went straight. Oh, it's gonna blow, right? Man, I'm calm. I was like, this is not gonna help. You can find a solution through the days, like So, what's wrong with you, man? You gotta hit the thing. I tell her, well, we can go in the bed and come out. So, what is that? His consciousness going like this, speaking out things.
It was happening in the now moment of the accident.
Well, past tense.
Well,
What do you mean?
was that reaction from your friend in the moment of the accident?
In the moment of the accident.
Okay, so that wouldn't be telepathy unless he were picking up on your thoughts and was like, why am I freaking out? Because I'm not freaking out, but I can tell that you're freaking out and I'm freaking out now, but I don't want to freak out because I was actually just calm a minute ago. Kind of like, it would be more like that. It sounds like he was just having his experience and you were having yours and they were just polarized. That's what that sounds like to me. Telepathy is a really interesting experience when you can tap into other people's thoughts, right? So if I'm tapping into your thoughts, and I also have claircognizance, so it's like, so I can hear your thoughts, and that's not the truth. And then how do we communicate? Do we even communicate with that? Do we say you're lying or you're lying to yourself?
Yeah.
Or do we just like, yep, I'm just, you know what, I'm just gonna witness this like a TV show. I might change the channel and like walk away. You know what I mean? So it's like being able to be aware of these spiritual gifts, and I'm gonna start to wrap this up and then anyway, being able to like have an awareness of like what my gifts are, and then like how to like use them in a way that's fun and in a way that is in alignment with ahimsa, which is do no harm. I don't need to say, you're thinking this and this is the real truth and let me tell you about you, even though the you is like, I'm just sitting here. Wow, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So being able to really tap into these gifts, and the way we do that is how we did it at the top of the hour. It's to just stop. It's to meditate. It's to be with your other senses. Close your eyeballs and let your third eye start to open. To start to sense what touch feels like, what the sensation of having skin feels like. To listen, and to listen but for real. To hear the nothingness and to hear what you then can hear in that space of the nothingness. Oftentimes we can hear our blood pumping if we are really in silence. We can hear that wobble, wobble, wobble.
That happened the other day for like the first time.
Really?
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
Nice. That's beautiful. And it can be very scary for some if you've never experienced that form of stillness and that depth of silence. It's being with our sensory system so much in such stillness and meditation that we can hear those subtle voices, the subtle messages, the subtle imagery that may come up, the sounds that maybe we had just pushed aside because we remembered or were taught that having these psychic gifts were something to be ashamed of or embarrassed by, or that you're crazy, or that it's a form of control, or no, you're weird, and we're going to burn you at the stake because look at you, you have a gift. So it's really being in such a place of presence with all that you are, and such quietness, that when these messages come in, you can feel if it is in alignment, because it's not going to jolt you. It's going to be like, wow, what was that? I want to follow that. I want to dive into that. I want to explore that. I'm going to share this. I'm going to hold this. Like, it's gonna be a magical experience because we're tapping into the magical experience of our sixth sensory system. So, on that note, I want to pause this conversation just for a moment, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in so much. I hope you enjoyed the Clairs and all of the other ones. And I'm really grateful. Holly says spirit is at a speed physical that is at a speed physical cannot stay in time with. Exactly. We'll transcend all of that. So thank you all so much for tuning. I love you so much. Keep taking care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all on the flip side. Okay, bye.